Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, here to share with you another one of my requested worst best tier list style ranking videos to share with you guys today. Now, this particular video was actually requested by one of my regular viewers going by the name of Knighted Slayer 666. So if you do happen to see him have a comment in the comment down below, don't forget to thank him. And he actually wanted to know if I could do a tier list style ranking of Batman villains. Now, there were actually a lot of tier lists going over Batman villains, and the one I found was actually one of the better ones. So I thought, what the heck? I'm looking for more ideas, and heck, you guys can bring me some of the best ideas for ranking videos. So here we go. Now, before I begin, just like always, if you do happen to enjoy this little ranking of mine, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Keep track of me on my future videos as well to help grow the channel. And this is also my own personal opinion, so don't feel too bad if there's a certain villain that's put in a specific particular spot. However, openly, Batman without question has the best rogues gallery of any comic book hero between DC and Marvel, period. So a lot of his are ranked pretty high up. So as we look into the list here, as you can see, there's a good amount, and the way I have it ranked is, S, A, B, C, D. I don't think he really has any bad villains in general. However, there are maybe a couple here that I just can't identify, so that's why I put the I don't know at the bottom, because I can't tell who they are. So we're just gonna go from left to right in order and just pick who I think is in what particular ranking. So, first one we have on the list is Bane. Bane is definitely an A-tier villain, no question. I mean, he's a physical threat. He is a psychological threat. Broke Batman's back, and he's legendarily known for that. I mean, this is a guy who is not afraid of the Batman. He can go head to head, and in some cases can flat out beat him. Now, sure, Bruce typically gets the better half of Bane in most cases, but most interpretations of him that I've seen are pretty consistent, and he is without question one of the most physically threatening combatants to Bane. I mean, not to Bane, to Batman. I think if anyone else other than Bruce were taking him on, I think they'd have a pretty bad time, but overall, Bane is absolutely an A-tier villain. Next, we have Deathstroke. I gotta put Deathstroke or Slade in B. He kind of fits in the same department as someone like Bane, but I think that Deathstroke, aka Slade, can be handled a little bit more simply I don't think he's as much of a threat to Batman. He could certainly provide a solid challenge. I think he's a much bigger threat to some of the Robins. I think that for them, he would be like an A tier. But, highly disciplined, has plenty of weapons, highly trained, very skilled combatant, very deadly, very ruthless. Definitely going to provide a challenge, but it's the type of challenge that Batman typically can handle on most days. So that's why I put him in B. Next, we have Black Mass. I'm going to put Black Mass also in B. Crime boss, very intimidating, not someone you want to cross. The reason I put him in B and I can't put him higher is because he's a crime boss. He typically very rarely gets his hands dirty. He usually hires someone else, and I think that shows a character that has a lot of power and a lot of influence, but I just have a little bit more respect for villains that actively want to do it themselves. And Black Mass just doesn't quite fit that department. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of these other villains do not have the manpower or the money or the resources that Black Mass has. But it's the fact that they use their own skills and their own abilities to take on Batman that is the reason why I have a little bit more respect. But don't get me wrong, having the numbers and manpower does make you a threat, but it's a less threatening type of threat, at least to Batman. If Batman really wanted to take Black Mass out, I don't think he would have much difficulty. He could easily take out his minions and then go after him directly, and there's really not much Black Mass can do. Although he is a serious big manipulator. I mean, you have to remember that at one point he broke out like a lot of Batman's villains and kind of like pretty much suicide squad them, like put bombs in their bodies and make them work for him. So he's an excellent manipulator. But I think that in itself means that he is much more of a controlling villain than just a physical imposing one. And those are the ones I seem to draw more towards. That's why he is a great villain, but more of a manipulator than just a straight up threat, which is why I put him in B tier. This next guy, I have absolutely no idea who this is. I don't recognize his character at all, so unfortunately I gotta put him in I don't know. Next we have Firefly. I'm gonna put Firefly in C. I mean, Jet Black likes set people on fire. He is like third-degree burns all over his body. Kind of crazy, but nothing that Batman couldn't handle. I would even say a good amount of the Batman family could easily take down Firefly, so that's why I would put him in C. Next, we have Catwoman. Now, Catwoman, I think is going to surprise some people, but I'm going to put her in D tier, and here's why. Most interpretations of Catwoman as a villain that I have seen have simply portrayed her as more of a thief that Batman kind of views as a nuisance. I don't know too many interpretations of Catwoman that actually have her go after Batman to take him out. And because of that, to me, in most interpretations of her that I've seen, she's either portrayed as a hero or an anti-hero. So she's, from my experience, been seen more as an ally to Batman than an overarching villain. And because of that, if this was like a tier list of me going over Batman's greatest allies, she would probably be A tier. But because she's not really that threatening, I would have to put her as D. She's a fantastic character. Has a lot of depth, a lot of different stories about her. She's a great character overall. But in terms of villains over the last number of years, she's definitely gone down seriously on my list, which is why I would put her in D. But that's no disrespect to her. She's a great character. Just I see her more as like a hero than a villain. Next, we have Harley Quinn. I'm going to put Harley on her own as just kind of C. I'm gonna put her in D also. Because here's the thing about Harley. Harley on her own is not really all that threatening. It seems that Harley is more threatening when she's paired with Joker. Because she is so drawn to him. And so he can get her to do horrible things. But on her own, I don't really see her really being all that threatening. I mean, she's like a prime member of the Suicide Squad. So she's an excellent combatant. She can handle herself in multiple different situations. But if she were to go really head-to-head with Batman, I just don't really see her doing all that well. Now, there was one particular storyline in the animated series called Mad Love. If you haven't seen that episode of the animated Batman series, please do. That goes over the background of how Harley Quinn, became partner with the Joker. That is like the one instance that really stands out because she technically was able to capture Batman, and even Batman gave her credit to telling Joker that she actually got closer to killing than you ever did. But that's like everyone eventually does have their day. But I think most days I don't think Harley would be much of a threat. And heck, she's also kind of gone down the road of Catwoman, where there have been plenty of interpretations where she's actually been seen as more of an anti-hero, and in some cases a straight-up hero. I mean, if you've seen the Injustice series, she is absolutely a hero, and she kind of almost becomes Batman's Robin for a time, and I think that role was very, very well suited for her, so that's why I would put her in the D tier. I think if she was like an ally, she'd probably be a little bit higher if I did like a Batman's allies list, tier list video, but again, Catwoman, Harley Quinn, great characters, but I don't see them as threatening villains, at least to me. At least Harley on her own is not a threatening villain. Next, we have this character. I honestly have no idea what this character is. No idea. So I gotta put him in I don't know. I thought it might be a different interpretation of Calendar Man, but I know what Calendar Man looks like, and I just don't know who that is. Next, we have Clayface. Clayface is going in C. I mean, sad story. I mean, he has a pretty sad, tragic backstory. But in terms of like him being like a threat to Batman, very few times he's actually been threatening me. I like how he's actually able to change his appearance, so that gives him like something that allows him to stand out a little bit more. But Batman most times has been able to contend with Clayface pretty comfortably, so that's why I would put him there. Hugo Strange is next. I'm gonna put Hugo Strange in B. He kind of fits into the same category as Black Mask in terms of he's not a straight up physical threat, but more of a manipulator. And because of that, that does make him very, very dangerous, but not in the physical sense. He's also much more of a manipulator. I don't think he quite has the resources as someone like Black Mask, but he's nevertheless a threat in a different type of way of being able to use his brilliant mind in order to kind of affect Batman in a different way. Not necessarily physical, but definitely mental. That's why I would put him in B tier. He's kind of like Scarecrow, but less intense. Next, we have Hush. Ooh, Hush. Hush is definitely A. Ooh, he's a serious threat to Batman. Maybe not on the same... Maybe not as bad as something like Bane, but I just think his threat level, his ability to manipulate, his ability for preparation is something that Batman also does. But this guy is very mentally unstable, and that makes him very, very dangerous. I mean, there's a difference between just being crazy and being crazy with a set of skills that make you very, very threatening. And that has made Hush very, very standoutish, at least to me, which is why he's definitely an A tier villain. Okay, fine. Let's get Joker out of the way. Okay, there's only one tier that Joker can go, and he's an S. He is the only S. No one on this list can touch him. Not in the comic books and not on this list. He is the greatest. He is the polar opposite to Batman. He is the greatest villain he's ever faced. Arguably, he is the greatest villain in comic book history. Even you can look at Marvel's entire collection of villains, even beings that can destroy entire universes and realities, and even that does not compare to the Joker. And he's just a mad clown. But there's just something about him. He has this charm that just allows him to stand out, which is why the title of greatest Batman villain has endured for so many decades. And I don't think it's even close. Nobody on this list that has ever come in contact with Batman has as much of a connection and has done as much damage as Joker. And that's just a fact, which is why he stands out the top of the list as the only S tier villain on this list. I could do a whole video talking about Joker, but heck, let's move on. He's the greatest villain that I've ever encountered, and that is why he is Batman's arch nemesis, and he will probably be that for forever. So that's all I gotta say. Next, we have Killer Croc. I'm gonna put Killer Croc in B. Definitely kind. I guess I'd put him a little bit above Black Mask. I mean, he's just a brute. Not very smart. It's kind of like a wild animal. Because of that, I think I'll drop him down a little bit. I mean, I definitely put him more ahead of Firefly, but yeah, somewhere around there. But Killer Croc, just kind of a brute, straight force, wants to eat Batman. But Batman has contended with him many times, so that's where I will put him. Mad Hatter. I'm gonna put Mad Hatter in C. Also kind of a manipulator, but just less effective. He's kind of like the Riddler, but not nearly as effective. He might have a few of his moments, but yeah, I don't see Mad Hatter as being all that great of a villain. Mr. Freeze. Mr. Victor Freeze. Very tragic backstory about his wife, but I gotta put him in B. I'll probably put him ahead of Black Mask, at least for me at least. Very brilliant doctor. Has a noble cause, but it's just his approach to doing it, and he doesn't care how many people he has to kill or what he has to do in order to try to save his wife. So his heart's in the right place. It's just his actions kind of make him a threat, and he's gone after Batman a few times, and he's been successful. Not necessarily taking him down, but definitely doing some serious damage in some cases. So yeah, that's why I put Mr. Freeze. I believe this is supposed to be Penguin, and I believe Penguin is also a B tier. I think he's more effective than Black Mask, but he too is kind of also like the manipulating type. He's very, very powerful. He's got a lot of money, a lot of resources, got a lot of men. Not very direct, but he definitely falls in the same category as someone like Black Mask, but a little bit more effective, a little bit more threatening, especially when you take all the different interpretations of Penguin and kind of combine them to kind of see exactly how Oswald Cobblepot likes to operate. So I think B tier is a good spot. Poison Ivy. Ooh, where would I put Ivy? I think I'd put her in B. She's just a seductress. It seems like she's able to affect people around Batman a little bit more effectively than Batman himself. Although she was successful in getting control of Superman, which was pretty impressive. But she can go head to head at times. But I think she's someone that Batman can handle pretty comfortably with minor difficulties. So that's I think B tier is good. This pig guy, I have no idea who that is. I have no idea who this pig guy is. So I gotta put him in I don't know. And I believe that's the last I don't know. Next we have Prometheus. I actually don't know Prometheus very well. I mean, I know him. I know a few things he's done, but with Batman, I think so. I think I might put Prometheus ahead of Firefly. I know a few of his actions. I know he's highly intelligent. He's a good fighter, but just from my experience, I haven't seen him do too much against Batman. So I just gotta put him in C. Next, we have Ra's al Ghul. Ooh, he's definitely an A. Ooh, Keeper of the Lazarus Pit. Ooh, this guy. Centuries old, highly deadly combatant, has very intelligent. He can operate as a manipulator, like in the cases of Penguin and Black Mask and Hugo Strange, but he's also can be a physical threat, like someone like Bane. And he very much doesn't necessarily need to use pure brute strength. He has skill, and in some cases, he's definitely leagues ahead of someone like Deathstroke, and he has the experience in history to do it. So yeah, he's definitely A tier. Next we have Deadshot. I'm gonna put Deadshot in B. He kind of fits into the same category as someone like Deathstroke, but he has his own particular set of skills using firearms instead of weapons. He's good at range, but once he gets to close range, Batman pretty much can take him down almost just about every time. Next we have Red Hood. Red Hood's interesting. Jason Todd. Tragic character. I'm gonna put him in C, but a low C, simply because I can see why he would be a threat on his own, but a threat to Bruce's Batman, he'd get a few hits in, but do I see him as a serious threat to Bruce's Batman? Absolutely not. If he's really trying, Bruce can handle Jason every time. He's definitely a lot more bloodthirsty. I think I'm surprised that he and Damian don't get along too well, because they both at times have that mentality of, being willing to kill than just disable someone. But I think that at times there have been interpretations of Jason Todd that have been a little bit more lighthearted, even after his death, that make him. I think if I put it like this, if this was like also another allies list, I probably would put him higher on that list than here. But he's no less. I see him just like an average threat. Nothing that Bruce couldn't handle because he trained him. So yeah. Next we have Riddler. Oh, Riddler. Oh, definitely he's a B. Not. Dang. I think I'd put him above Hugo Strange. So I think there. He fits in the same category. He's not as much of a manipulator, but his use of riddles and traps and trying to outsmart Batman. So this is someone who's simply trying to outwit Batman, who is known as the greatest detective. So I think that spot in B is about there. He simply is trying to outwit Batman, and in most cases he's able to get a few small victories, but nothing too major. Scarecrow. Ooh, Mr. Fear Toxin. I think Scarecrow is a low A. I mean, his use of wanting to use fear as a weapon is something that absolutely fits in Batman's category, because he also likes to impose fear. And in some cases, he's actually able to get advantages over Batman and force him to face his own fears and his own horrors. And I think that's something that Scarecrow is able to do that no other villain can do. So you have someone who shares a common approach to Batman, but is much more sinister in that sense, instead of being like more of a hero. So yeah, I would definitely put Scarecrow in A. Now this one was a little bit tough to figure out, but I figured out, I believe this is Talia al Ghul. She is not on the same level of threat as her father, which is why I'm going to put her in C. Mother to Damian, I'd put her. Let me move this around a little bit. I think I'd put her there. Yes, in the middle of the pack of C. I mean, she acts as a love interest. She's a good manipulator, a good fighter, but she's nowhere near on the same level as her father, Ra's. So I think mid C tier is a good spot for her. Next, we have the Court of Owls. Ooh, that is a very dangerous threat. And that is going at the top of the A tier. I mean, it's one thing taking on these individuals or people who have influence or have their own groups, but the Court of Owls, those talons, You do not want to mess with him. In fact, that's the key reason why I'm super excited for Gotham Knights. Because if Batman really is dead, which I don't think he is, I'm sure he'll come out later in the game. But if the Bat family has to contend with the Court of Owls by themselves, they're gonna have some serious problems. That is probably, without question, one of the greatest threats that Batman had ever faced. I mean, when he got trapped in that labyrinth and his mind was starting to go out, I mean, that was like one of the lowest points I had ever seen Batman have to deal with, because they were breaking him down both physically and mentally. And it's a powerful organization that is so secret and it is so hard to take down. Ooh, and just how they create their talents is in itself horrible. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love to see a live action a movie involving the Court of Owls. That would be incredible. So yeah, definitely an A tier. Next we got 3 more villains. Two-Face. I gotta put Two-Face in B. I mean, Harvey Dent was once, district attorney, had his pretty much his, got his face burned, and now he can't, only view things in, good in ways, and he flips a coin to do it. I mean, I think I put him lower, because I think the fact that he can only operate with a coin is like a weakness too, because there are times where he has the advantage and he flips a coin, and because it's heads, then he won't do something. So his split personalities can make him a threat, but it can also work against him in some cases, which is why I think he's still a B tier, but definitely a low tier. Next we have Ventriloquist. I think that's how you say it, and he's definitely a C. Weird, very weird type of villain. That's all I gotta say about him. And the last one I have on this list is Victor Zsasz. Okay, Victor Zsasz, he's also C. I mean, he's just a serial killer who kills people and then cuts himself. Mainly women, for some reason. But I don't see him as much of a threat to Batman. I mean, this is something that any low-tier member of the Bat family could take out. So, yeah, that's where I would put him. And that about does it for my tier list ranking of all these Batman villains. Now, if you want to go at it, be sure to share your ranking of how you guys would, place certain villains in certain parts. So yeah, make sure you share your ranking with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you all next time.